Hey, today we're in Genesis chapter 44 and 45. We see Joseph's family coming together from the famine. We see his brothers. I don't know if you just want to say they've grown up and become a little wiser in how they deal with stuff and how they do things. But we'll see uh, that reunification. Behind me, you see a picture, a painting from Leon Bourgeois in France from the late 1800s. It's the picture of painting of the reunification of Joseph and his brothers, especially this little Benjamin right there. That I'm guessing he's probably a little older, really, in realistic time. So here's chapter 44. Later Joseph told the servant in charge of his house, "Fill the men's grain sacks with as much as they can hold, and put their money in the sacks. Also put my silver cup in the sack of the youngest brother." The servant did as he was told. Early the next morning the men were sent on their way with their donkeys, but they had not gone far from the city when Joseph told the servant, "Go after those men, and when you catch them, say my master has been good to you. So why have you stolen his silver cup? Not only does he drink from this cup, but he also uses it to learn about the future. You have done a terrible thing." When the servant caught up with them, he said exactly what Joseph had told him to say. But they replied, "Sir, why do you say such things? We would never do anything like that. We even returned the money we found in our grain sacks when we got back to Canaan. So why would we want to steal any silver or gold from your master's house? If you find that one of us has the cup, then kill him, and the rest of us will become your slaves." "Good," the man replied. "I'll do what you have said. But only the one who has the cup will become my slave. The rest of you can go free." Each of the brothers quickly put his sack on the ground and opened it. Joseph's servant started searching the sacks, beginning with the one that belonged to the oldest brother. When he came to Benjamin's sack, he found the cup. This upset the brothers so much that they began tearing their clothes in sorrow. Then they loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers got there, Joseph was still at home. So they bowed down to Joseph, who asked them, "What have you done? Didn't you know could find out?" "Sir, what can we say? How can we prove that we are innocent? God has shown that we are guilty. And now all of us are your slaves, especially the one who had the cup." Joseph told them, "I would never punish all of you. Only the one who was caught with the cup will become my slave. The rest of you are free to go to your father." Judah went over to Joseph and said, "Sir, you have as much power as the king himself, and I am only your slave. Please don't get angry if I speak. You asked us if our father was still alive and if we had any more brothers. So we told you. Our father is a very old man. In fact, he was already old when Benjamin was born. Benjamin's brother is dead. Now Benjamin is the only one of the two brothers who is still alive, and our father loves him very much. You ordered us to bring him here so you could see him for yourself. We told you that our father would die if Benjamin left him. But you warned us that we could never see you again unless our youngest brother came with us. So we returned to our father and reported what you had said. Later our father told us to come back here and buy more grain. But we answered, 'We can't go back to Egypt without our youngest brother. We will never be let in to see the governor unless he is with us.' Sir, our father then reminded us that his favorite wife had given birth to two sons. One of them was already missing and had not been seen for a long time. My father thinks the boy was torn to pieces by some wild animal, and he said, 'I am an old man. If you take Benjamin from me and something happens to him, I will die of a broken heart.' That's why Benjamin must be with us when we go back to my father. He loves him so much that he will die if Benjamin doesn't come back with me. I promised my father that I would bring him safely home. If I don't, I told my father he could blame me for the rest of his life. Sir, I am your slave. Please let me stay here in place of Benjamin and let him return home with his brothers. How can I face my father if Benjamin isn't with me? I couldn't bear to see my father in such sorrow." Chapter 45. Since Joseph could no longer control his feelings in front of his servants, he sent them out of the room, and when he was alone with his brothers, he told them, "I am Joseph." And then he cried so loudly that the Egyptians heard him and told about it in the king's palace. Joseph asked his brothers if his father was still alive, but they were too frightened to answer. Joseph told them to come closer to him, and when they did, he said, "Yes, I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. Don't worry or blame yourselves for what you did. God is the one who sent me ahead of you to save lives. There has already been a famine for 2 years, and for 5 more years no one will plow fields or harvest grain. But God sent me ahead of you to keep your families alive and to save you in this wonderful way. After all, you weren't really the ones who sent me here. It was God. He made me the highest official in the king's court, placed me over all of Egypt. Now hurry back and tell my father that his son Joseph says God has made me ruler of Egypt. Come here as quickly as you can. You will live here in the region of Goshen with your children and grandchildren, as well as with your sheep and goats and cattle and everything else you own. I will take care of you. There will I will take care of you there during the next 5 years of famine. But if you don't come, you and your family and your animals are going to starve to death. All of you, including my brother Benjamin, can tell by what I have said that I really am Joseph. Tell my father about my great power here in Egypt and about everything you have seen. Hurry and bring him here." Joseph and Benjamin hugged each other and started crying. Joseph was still crying as he kissed each of his brothers. After this, they started talking with Joseph. When it was told in the palace that Joseph's brothers had come, the king and his officials were happy. So the king said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers to load their donkeys and return to Canaan. Have them bring their father and their families here. I will give them the best land in Egypt, and they can eat and enjoy everything that grows on it. Also tell your brothers to take some wagons from Egypt for their wives and children to ride in, and be sure to have them bring their father. They can leave their possessions behind because they will be given the best of everything in Egypt." Jacob's sons agreed to do what the king had said, and Joseph gave them wagons and food for their trip home, just as the king had ordered. Joseph gave some new clothes to each of his brothers, but to Benjamin he gave 5 new outfits and 300 pieces of silver. And to his father he sent 10 donkeys loaded with the best things in Egypt, and 10 other donkeys loaded with grain and bread and other food for the return trip. Then he sent his brothers off and told them, "Don't argue on the way home." Joseph's brothers left Egypt, and when they arrived in Canaan, they told their father that Joseph was still alive and was the ruler of Egypt. But their father was so surprised that he could not believe them. Then they told him everything Joseph had said. When he saw the wagons Joseph had sent, he felt much better and said, "Now I can believe you. My son Joseph must really be alive, and I will get to see him before I die." That's the family getting back together with Joseph, and I'm guessing those brothers had some long talks on the way home to see their dad Jacob. Have a great day. Bye.